Thanks for joining us at 5 on air and streaming. I'm Lauren Lemanchek.
And I'm Kevin Holmes. Right now, the number of cities hit by cyber attacks on water systems is growing, now spanning more than 30 communities across the state.
Both Minnesota and federal investigators are looking into how the attacks happened, but the state says it's not aware of any request from cities to have residents stop drinking the water. So we know Bram, South St. Paul, Plymouth, and Maple Plain were among the communities impacted. And for the first time, we're hearing from city leaders and a cybersecurity expert about what makes these attacks feel different. Ian Russell leads us off tonight.
Lauren, it's a trend we've seen, unfortunately, a lot of in recent years. Cities being attacked, usually for data, like we saw last year in St. Paul and North St. Paul 1 year ago. But a cybersecurity expert tells me this feels unique because it doesn't appear that whoever did this wanted money, but they went after critical infrastructure. In all his years in public works,
I have never been involved with one of these cyber attacks.
Michael Thompson says challenges like this have never hit closer to home.
We've never had a similar incident, so this is the first.
Late Sunday to early Monday, more than 30 cities across the state were victims of a cyber attack, specifically targeting water systems.
I think it's frustrating for any agency that has interruptions with its communication systems with infrastructure.
In Plymouth, it was cell communications within the system. South St. Paul and Maple Plain, it was automated control pieces. And in Bram,
the water tower was calling for water, but the well was not working.
Mayor Nate George, also a candidate for state auditor, says an attack on the controls was the issue, and crews were able to get things quickly working again.
No matter how much planning you do, it seems like there's always something that they find that you weren't looking at. So that's just the reality of the world that we live in nowadays.
Over the past year, several Minnesota cities have been the victims of cyber attacks.
We detected this intrusion on July 25th.
St. Paul shut down its network after a ransomware attack exactly 1 year ago.
Water's pretty cheap, so we're not trying to steal that. This was designed to be destructive. Plain and simple.
Cybersecurity expert Bryce Austin says this is now reality for cities around the state, and more protection is needed for all.
It's a wake-up call to all critical infrastructure in all states. We need to be prepared for cyber attacks. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
A frustrating headache as cities statewide check their systems as investigations into who did this begin.
Plymouth being affected with other cities. That's why we pull in our law enforcement partners. We're just making sure we're bringing all the right partners in as part of a unique incident like this.
And we know that all levels of law enforcement are investigating these attacks from the local level all the way up to the feds. The FBI tells me it's aware of this incident and is in contact with those affected, Lauren.
So your experts said that this was just designed to cause destruction. Why? Do they ever come up with any sort of motives around doing that?
No, and I think right now we're still waiting to see exactly what that looks like. You know, Bryce and I have spoken quite a bit over the past year as all these cybersecurity incidents keep happening. His big thing is when we look at what's happened in the past, mostly that was for data and then ransomware at this point. But looking at what's happened right now, it's just going after critical infrastructure. So I think that motive is still up in the air as of right now.
All right, frustrating. Ian, thank you.